1:30 and 2:30, took a look at the speech. We talked about the two basic choices that were then to be presented to him. There was a presentation of the blockade, now called quarantine alternative.
Now, there was certainly some interest in trying to persuade the president to take military action according to what the Joint Chiefs of Staff recommended.
The president had made his decision favoring quarantine over airstrike subject to his having a conversation with the head of the Tactical Air Command to make certain that the so-called surgical airstrike that everyone had thought would be the ideal solution was not really a viable alternative. He had that conversation on Sunday, October 21.
The way the president put it was he said, Cam, I called him by his first name, Cam Sweeney, said, Cam, if I give you the word to go, can you assure me that we can take out those ballistic missiles? And General Sweeney reflected on that for a few moments, I would say. And he'd say, well, I will say this to you, that I can assure you that we'll take out all those missiles that we know about.
And Getty said, well, what do you think is likely to happen? What would be your estimate of the amount of casualties, military and civilian, that would occur if we went through with this airstrike plan? And ever said, oh, I think that 10 or 20,000 people would get killed. Of course, that just confirmed Kennedy in his view that airstrike was not the thing to do.
He went to St. Stephen's on Sunday morning on the 21st, and while he was there, he decided it's going to be a blockade. He came back in the office and he said, I'm going to ask for a blockade.
On the Sunday of that week, there was no question now that all signs pointed to, one, a major crisis was at work, two, the administration was developing some kind of an action plan. And we so told Scotty Reston, we said, now you're committed to call the president. And the conversation went something like this. Mr. President, we promised that we'd call you before we print anything. We're pretty sure we figured out that the problem is Cuba and that the Russians are putting some kind of offensive weaponry into Cuba, and that you're about to do something about it as you are pledged to do. Kennedy hesitated for a moment and then said something like, I am about to ask the networks for airtime Monday night, get all my ducks in a row. If you deny me surprise, I don't know what the Russians will do. We thereupon had to concoct a story that told a little less than we knew.
The flights were continuing. We see at San Julian Airfield crates that we had spotted going into Cuba of IL-28 bombers. They were being assembled. And the bomber, of course, was considered an offensive weapon. We had spotted at the Santa Clara Airfield MiG-21 crates, and they were being assembled in a rapid fashion. In addition, we're finding coastal cruise missile sites being built along Cuba's northern coast.
We already knew that American intelligence had revealed the missiles. Cuban and Soviet intelligence reported that they had the pictures. Therefore, construction on the missile sites was accelerated. The warhead locations were about 300 to 400 kilometers from the missile positions, and they were camouflaged and guarded.
I was chief engineer of an intermediate-range missile R-12 division. October 22nd, all 3 missile regiments in Cuba were placed on high alert. There were 42 missiles taken to Cuba. In each regiment, there were 2 divisions, and in each division, there were 3 launch pads.
We knew that each one of those 42 missiles on the island of Cuba had a power that was 20 to 30 times greater than the one bomb that devastated Hiroshima.
All 24 launch pads were in a high state of readiness, which meant that all the equipment had been taken to the launch sites, including the missile fuel.
Nothing satisfies so many people in so many different ways. Beef, it's what's for dinner.
Here. There. Everywhere. The DeskJet Portables. DeskJet printers from Hewlett-Packard. Make it happen.
Here's where Alka-Seltzer Plus fights tough colds with tough congestion, tough aches, tough sore throat.
This is why you need a tough medicine. Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine. The leading cold pill only relieves congestion, but Alka-Seltzer Plus relieves congestion, sore throat, headache, body aches. That's tough medicine.
You bet it's tough.
Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine. It's tough medicine. For a cold with a cough, try Alka-Seltzer Plus cold and cough medicine.
Dermatologists see thousands of cases of painfully dry skin a year, but the only one that counts is yours.
Skin Science Update from Vaseline Intensive Care.
I'm Joan London, and this is the latest physician's desk reference for non-prescription drugs. And in it is the extra-strength formula developed by Vaseline Intensive Care Research for treating severely dry skin. The thousands who've seen it work know it's serious medicine.
Extra strength formula. From intensive research comes intensive care.
Fido, Fido. Oh. Fetch Fido.
Is your best friend trying to tell you something? Yes. Dentine now has more breath freshening flavor. So brush your breath clean with great tasting new Dentine.
Retirement home. It's a leisure village.
One free 10-minute call a month, every month for an entire year.
There are lots of people here. I just have to meet them, that's all.
2 free hours of long distance in all.
Well, it's just a friendly game of dominoes.
It's MCI's gift to all friends and family members, even those who join now.
Al, would you believe this? I'm dating.
To accept this gift, call and tell us which member of your circle you'd like to call free. Name each other and get 4 hours free.
A Dateline investigation. They know everything about you.
There are a lot of hackers out there, and they know a lot.
They can access your personal records and steal your money. Now, Dateline NBC exposes a new wave of electronic spies.
It's sort of like a criminal Olympics.
And you could be their next target. Dateline NBC, Tuesday.
Ask anybody who owns one. A Chevy truck is really special. That's why your local Chevy dealer ordered hundreds of them just for this area. And they're specially equipped with V6, air, cruise, stereo, cassette, and more. And they're specially priced to save you a ton of dough. Chevy full-size pickup. The best full-size pickup you can buy for initial quality. Get yours now at your local Chevy Geo dealer.
Hey, that's my Chevy. Ooh, that's my truck.
Skies are partly cloudy. Those are showers. It's 72 degrees.
For a week, the discovery of the missiles had been the best-kept secret in Washington. But now it was time for the president to decide. Blockade or bomb and invade. American intelligence at the time placed Cuban troop strengths at fewer than 100,000, and the number of Soviet troops in Cuba at only 10,000. What the president did not know is that both estimates were dangerously low.
On Monday, October 22nd, we had a day filled with meetings. Meetings of the National Security Council, meetings of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, meeting with the Cabinet.
We had to prepare a special package of briefing materials to be shown to the congressional leaders that were being rounded up all over the country.
I was called, as others were called, at 8 o'clock this morning. The White House advised us that there was a matter, quote, of high urgency. And the President very respectfully requested that we appear at the White House at 5 o'clock.
President Kennedy will address the nation tonight on radio and television on a subject of the highest national urgency.
Myself in a upgraded condition of readiness in my destroyer, John R. Pierce. I bade farewell to my wife and 2 children and suggested that she should prepare the automobile for departure from Norfolk in case things got rough. I mean, after all, there was always the possibility of nuclear warfare, which no one wanted to talk about.
I left Norfolk on the 15th. I had in the back of my mind the possibility that after I had been on my way, I might be told to divert and go to Guantanamo and evacuate the dependents there, and perhaps leave some of the Marines there to reinforce. There was enough tension in the air, in my mind, a lot of people's minds, that the situation was very, very, very difficult and might turn into a critical situation, which might require evacuating the dependents.
On Monday, when I went into the office, there was a lot of activity, and by 10 o'clock, Captain Ball came out of his office and told me to put my things away and go home and pack 1 small suitcase for each member of my family and to stand by for a possible evacuation. My husband came in and he said, you're being evacuated, and he says, take good care of the boys, and he says, take good care of yourself, and he said, I love you, and he left. I was like in a state of numbness. You do what you're told to do, and you tell yourself everything's going to be all right, and you just go.
On the 22nd, the president put the forces on Defense Condition 3, and they increased their readiness. There were some 500 tactical fighter aircraft in Florida, prepared to conduct operations if they were required by the president. The defense aircraft, of which slightly over 20 were in the air at the time of the president's speech, armed with nuclear weapons. Land-based missiles that the United States had, which the Titans and the Atlas and the Minuteman missiles, with their nuclear warheads, were informed that they should be prepared to attack within a period of minutes.